Superminis. We Brits are mad about them. But if you're fed up with familiar Fiestas and popular Polos, a former class favourite is back. It's the Nissan Micra. In the 1990s it was on top form, but for years it's been in the wilderness. Now it's back, and it has the Ford Fiesta, the Citroën C3 and the Volkswagen Polo squarely in its sights.
As transformations go, this has to be right up there, because the old Micra had a ghastly cocktail of cheap and brittle plastics. And despite there being a few suspect materials in here, like down here, on top of the dial and along the doors, for the most part it is well screwed together. It's not the quality of a Polo or the style of a Citroën C3, but it is pretty good in here. Now you can choose from different colours. We've got this silvery beige across the dash. You can choose from a wide colour palette for the ultimate personalisation. It's easy to get comfortable thanks to a fully adjustable steering wheel. And storage wise, well, we've got two cup holders here and we've got another cup holder here, but that serves as the one for the backseat passengers. We've got a space here to charge your phone. And whilst the door bins don't pass the Carbuyer big bottle test, the glove box, and you'll be surprised by this, can store a 2-litre bottle of water with ease. It is absolutely enormous. Now there are two types of touchscreen infotainment system, display audio and Nissan Connect, and you get the Nissan Connect on high trim levels, and it's the one we've got here. Now whilst it looks fine and the shortcut buttons are all very intuitive, the actual screen itself, well, the graphics are very dated and it just looks a little bit grainy, especially when you've got the optional parking camera like we have that's got a 360-degree view. It all looks a little bit grainy for my liking.
As standard, the Micra gets Bluetooth and, impressively, a lane departure warning and intervention system, and emergency braking with pedestrian detection, but it doesn't come with air conditioning. Range-topping Tecna gets an upgraded infotainment system and Bose speakers in the headrests.
Now there's one word to describe the back seats of the Nissan Micra, and that's tight, because I'm 5'10" and look at the amount of knee room I've got. It's not a huge amount, is it? Even worse is headroom, because if I sit upright, my head is touching the roof. If you're 6 foot, you're going to really struggle for space back here. You can't really fit 3 people back here either, because if I get my leg over into the centre, yeah, it's not particularly comfortable here, and there's not a huge amount of shoulder space either. Now, despite this being the mid-level spec version of the Micra, I don't even get electric windows. I get keep-fit windows. That really is a throwback to the 90s, isn't it? There's no armrest back here either, and it just feels very claustrophobic back here thanks to these small windows. It's made even worse on this car because they're tinted as well. There is one saving grace back here, and there's Isofix points in both of the outer seats. Small mercies, eh? The boot is a bit hit and miss as well. Let's start off with the good stuff, the space. Now, 300 litres is larger than the Fiesta and the Polo, and let's just grab our suitcase and you can see that there's a good amount of space in there. It's very square as well, and so is the opening. What's not quite so good, however, is things like this parcel shelf. I mean, it is so unbelievably cheap. I mean, it doesn't even sit in its little holder properly. There's another bad thing in here as well. When you fold down the rear seats, which it is perfectly straightforward, admittedly, there is an enormous lip in the boot floor. So it means loading larger items through is harder than it should be. There is quite a bit of a lip here as well, and it is quite high, so lugging those large items in is a little bit difficult.
For now, you've got the choice for 1-litre turbo petrol and a 1.5-litre diesel, and some versions with this engine can reach 88 mpg according to Nissan. A non-turbocharged 1-litre petrol will arrive later in 2017.
We've got the 1-litre turbo here, and unless you're going to be ploughing up and down the motorway, you should choose this engine over the diesel. The power delivery is nice and strong. It's not quite as linear as it is in Ford's or Vauxhall's 3-cylinder engines, but it's good enough, and it makes a weird type of noise. Listen. It sounds a bit like a washing machine. I actually quite like it.
The manual gearbox feels good too, and the Micra has a really good driving position with very comfortable seats. Refinement levels are pretty average, it's quiet enough at speed, even if the ride is a little firm.
The Micra is nowhere near as fun to drive as a Fiesta, and it's not as comfortable over bumps as a VW Polo or a Citroen C3. But don't let that put you off, because as an all-rounder, the Nissan Micra is pretty damn good.
As an all-rounder, it's fine, but the Micra doesn't have a USP or a clear reason why you'd buy it over the competition. It is a gargantuan step up from the old model though, and if you buy a Micra, you no longer have to feel embarrassed about driving one. If you enjoyed this video, watch our review of the Volkswagen Polo and our Super Minis playlist. Please like and share the video, and you can subscribe to our channel by pressing the Carbuyer logo.